Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of Box Office Talk. This is the show where I break down what happened at the box office, see if my predictions for the top 5 are correct, then make predictions for next week's top 5. So let's get right on into it. Last week I predicted that number 1 would be Zootopia 2, number 2 would be Wicked for Good, number 3 would be Now You Three Me, number 4 would be Predator Badlands, and number 5 would be The Running Man. And oh my god, we did it, folks. We did it. We got 5 out of 5 of my predictions right for this weekend. Hell yes. 2 of you in the comments did get your predictions right last weekend, so congratulations to you. Some of you were trying to go, maybe not all in on Eternity, but you were trying to sneak it in there, which sounds like something that I would normally do. I commend the effort, but it unfortunately did not make it in. But let's just dive into what happened this weekend, because it was another one of these historic weekends, right? Now, of course, we were talking about last year. We had the Wicked premiere, and then a week later was Thanksgiving, which was when Moana 2 came out. Moana 2 dominated like that entire Thanksgiving week, but those two combined together were just the big box office powerhouse. And that is kind of what's happening here with our number 1, which is Zootopia 2. Now, this is not as big as last year. So Moana 2's last year was just so great. There was maybe no way that Zootopia could actually compete, right? As far as like the opening weekend. That being said, this is the second best opening for Thanksgiving behind Moana 2's last year. How much did it make? Well, for the 3-day weekend, it made $96 million, but since this was opening up on a Tuesday for preview screenings and then officially like out fully wide on Wednesday, it adds to a domestic total of $156 million, which is the official Thanksgiving opening that it has, that 5-day. And worldwide, it is sitting at $556 million. That is already over $500 million for a sequel to a film that already, grossed $1 billion. What does this mean exactly? Let's just dive into it. Let's just get all the stats out of the way. Let's jump back to domestically first. We'll build up to it. This is an opening weekend that is, for the 3-day, 21 million over the original films, which is good. It is only 34 million below Frozen 2 and 43 million below Moana 2's 3-day openings, but that does place it in the top 3 highest grossing for the Disney Animation Company. We mentioned this is the second best Thanksgiving opening behind Moana 2, and as far as Disney Animation domestic runs, it has outgrossed Chicken Little by 21 million. It is needing 15 million now until it gets to Tarzan. Right now it is the 14th highest grossing domestic run for Disney Animation. So it's blazed through all of these low grossers. It's probably gonna have like some steady staying power over, these next couple weeks into the Christmas season, going further into December. Obviously we have a big competitor next weekend, but I do think Zootopia 2 will be the one to look out for a little bit, which is pretty exciting domestically, and it needs 185 million until it gets to the original film. But like I said, I think this is gonna, do a lot of great wonders. Some audience members might deviate to the other new release, which we'll talk about later, but I think, this one is gonna really benefit from, families being out more for, the holiday season, looking for something to watch. So I think, this will only benefit in the long run. Very excited to see where that goes domestically, obviously. And then worldwide, this is a big opening, as you already know, 556 million. How big is it? Not only is it the biggest global opening of the year 2025, but it is in general the 4th highest global opening of all time. But more specifically, if we can talk about some China stats, because we're hearing a lot about China in the box office this day. It is the highest opening weekend ever for a Hollywood film there, surpassing what Avengers Endgame did previously. This is also the first Hollywood movie to make 100 million in a single day over there, and it is already the 7th highest grossing Hollywood film in all time over there. As far as like the total worldwide number, we already have talked about how 156 of this is from the US domestically, but there's about like 220 plus, maybe even more, that is making up the rest, essentially. So technically, even though domestically it is opened for the Thanksgiving holiday to 156 million, it had a bigger day in China, really, which is like crazy. But I mean, in 2016, this went on to the first movie went on to gross $1 billion. So I mean, I shouldn't really be that surprised. I feel like we shouldn't be that surprised about it, but it's just kind of crazy that, people still care about it this immensely. Like, the popularity did in fact grow and people did want to see another one of these. And I think, yeah, the fact that this did get solid reviews and the fan base seems to be accepting this a lot more than something like Moana 2 last year, I think this really does bode well for the future of this run here. Maybe we can get that third one a little faster, right? I mean, I'm sure they must be thinking about it, especially seeing how, how much this movie is doing right now, right? Worldwide for Disney Animation, it has outgrossed Ralph Breaks the Internet by 27 million, so it is currently the 8th highest grossing worldwide run for the studio, a higher placement than the domestic one even. Once again, crazy. It is 25 million away from Tangled, but 462 million away from the original film. But the fact that like the original film, squeaked by $1 billion, right, at the end of its overall run, and right now it is, this one is opening to over $500 million. Like, I do think this is great. I think this is great for this movie. Like I said, I can't wait to see where this goes. And I'm glad to like say this as somebody who like did like this movie, not like Moana 2, where it was like, well, it might be good for just theaters and everything, but man, I wish it was for something that wasn't a repurposed, Disney Plus show that they have repurposed into a movie because the company is desperate for any kind of hit. I'm glad that something that seems to be born from love still, is doing so well. Number 2 is Wicked for Good, and I did make the prediction last weekend. Obviously, these two are going to be kind of close together. That is the case here. But I think I said something along the lines of the first movie, when it opened up with Moana 2, on its second weekend, it barely dropped, and I was expecting the same kind of deal. And I mean, not that this is a terrible holdover, but it did have a drop-off of a little over 50-55%, so not great. And I'm sure some people might be saying, like, well, Zootopia 2, it's another highly anticipated thing, sure, but, Wicked 2 was also highly anticipated, and the first Wicked barely dropped off last time, so it was just that thing of, it's not the greatest, and maybe I should have expected that a bit more, since this Wicked movie is a bit more divisive. But I say all this, but it still made 62 million this weekend, adding to a domestic total of 270 million for the stage to screen adaptations list. Domestically, it has outgrossed Sound of Music by 106 million, Chicago by 100, and it's outgrossed Grease by 82 million. It now needs 204 million until it gets past the first Wicked, and then it's the highest stage to screen adaptation of all time domestically. Hopping over to worldwide, it is at 393 million, so they've already tripled their alleged 150 million initial production budget. Good for them, obviously. On their way to quadruple it if they can get past 450 million, which obviously they will. For the stage to screen adaptation list here, it has outgrossed Sound of Music by 106 million and Chicago by 87. It's just 1 million shy of Grease, but currently it is in the top 5 highest grossing worldwide runs for this specific list of stage to screen adaptations. So yeah, still killing it. I think I was just hyper fixated on the drop off just because I had said last week, I don't think it's going to drop off as much. It's going to do the same as last time. And I was just a little taken aback, but it's still doing well. So what am I saying? Number 3 is Now You Three Me. I think I forgot to use that name last weekend. I'm back. I'm back on it this time. Sitting at number 3, making 7.0 million, adding to a domestic total of 49 million. So the distance between this and the second movie's domestic run is 16 million now. Worldwide, it is at 186 million. So they have crossed over the doubling point of their initial production budget of 90 million. So obviously now, hopefully, the hope is that now that they've reached a doubling point, that they're in some kind of way, making some kind of profit back, or at least closer to the green, right? It needs 146 million until it outgrosses the second movie, so it's still not quite close to like catching up in that regard. Domestically it is, but worldwide it's still, kind of trailing. Does this mean we'll be any closer to getting in Now You For Me? I don't know where you'd put the 4 in the title in this instance, but we'll figure it out later. I don't know. Ruben Fleischer, director of this movie, did say that they were already working on it, so I guess we'll see, but I don't know, maybe it's doing fine. Who fucking knows? Number 4 is Predator Badlands, making 4.8 million, adding to a domestic total of 85 million. So domestically, big news, it outgrossed Alien vs. Predator here by just 5 million. It is the highest grossing film in the Predator franchise. Predator franchise associated with anything. So Predator solo films or Alien vs. Predator like this. Worldwide, it is at $173 million. So still about like $37 million off from doubling its initial production budget of $105 million. We've talked about, the, kind of asterisks that I personally am putting after it just because of, the streaming release history of the last two Predator films, and it's not that bad compared to like where they were like a couple years ago. And this movie also worldwide just outgrossed Alien vs. Predator here by $1 million, so worldwide it is also officially the highest grossing film in the Predator franchise. And I was like, is there anything else I can compare this to right now? So I hopped over to director Dan Trachtenberg's other film, 10 Cloverfield Lane, to see where that kind of compared. Domestically, it already outgrossed 10 Cloverfield Lane by $13 million, and worldwide, way over it by $65 million. So yeah, Predator Badlands, I feel like once again, once you put aside our kind of rule of like, if you double the budget, you might, be in the clear or whatever. Putting that aside, making an exception just for this film, I still see this as kind of a win, or at least a step in the right direction of this franchise can do well in the theaters again. You can get people excited for this. You just need to trust this team. You need to keep committing yourself to the theatrical experience. I do see this overall run as it's not out of the top 10 yet, so what am I saying? It'll probably still be collecting these small amounts as it goes on. But I still kind of see this as a win, and hopefully, a Disney 20th Century whatever sees it the same way. Or maybe they won't. I don't know. Maybe we'll just go back to Hulu, which would suck, but oh well. Number 5 is The Running Man. This one, there's no asterisks you can put behind this one. Well, you could try. We'll talk about that right now. It made $3.7 million, so that does add to a domestic total of $34 million. So domestically for Edgar Wright, it did outgross Scott Pilgrim by $1 million. It is now behind Baby Driver by 73, but this is now Edgar Wright's second highest grossing film domestically. Worldwide, it is sitting at $60 million, so it has outgrossed Scott Pilgrim here by $11 million. It's only $20 million shy of Hot Fuzz, but currently it is the third highest grossing worldwide run for Edgar Wright. So 2 and 3, that's not too bad. That worldwide total of 60 compared to that initial production budget of 110 is still not amazing. If the budget was a little lower, you might be able to be like, well, it's not too bad for the budget, but oh man, yeah, I'm kind of bummed. I was still really hoping for better for this. I was hoping for some kind of worldwide bump as well, like after that first weekend of like, it was a little low, but maybe we just didn't get all the worldwide numbers, or it's not fully out yet. It just seems like it's destined for this, but hey. It's a movie that some people saw. Number 6 is Eternity, making $3.1 million, adding to a domestic total of $5.2. Not sure what the budget of this thing is. I would estimate maybe like, once again, I have no eye for like how much a movie costs just by seeing it. Maybe like 10 million, something like that. It's also A24, so I'm not expecting like so much money put into it. But I feel like for a movie like this, not too bad of a gross so far. It didn't make the top 5, but yeah, not too bad. I've seen movies like this open to worse. You know what I mean? I did see this at the Regal Mystery Movie last or 2 weeks ago. It feels like it was a little while ago, but really good, really charming. Would recommend you check this out if you have the time. I would have liked to see this open a little bit higher, actually, because I did think it was quite sweet. Moving on to number 7, which is Rental Family, another sweet movie that I still think you would like if you check it out. I would recommend. Made $2.1 million, adding to a domestic total of $7.3. This and Eternity are similar in the sense that I still don't know what the budget of this thing is. Last weekend, I think I also estimated maybe it cost 10 to 15 million. Maybe that's just the common thing is I see a movie and I assume it doesn't cost a whole lot, and then my go-to is just like, I don't know, it's got a star, maybe just 10 to 15 million. I don't know. Either way, yeah, this is another one that I was kind of hoping would maybe potentially do better, but, it's still kind of sticking around in like the specialty kind of box office circuit, so, I'm not one to complain. I am going to complain about number 8, which is Wake Up Dead Man, which is the third Knives Out film. I, unfortunately, have to wait until December 12th to finally see this. That is the Netflix release. I find this so odd. Oh, okay, let me just get this out of the way. It made $1.5 million this weekend, adding to a domestic total of $2.5. The budget, according to Wikipedia, is apparently $151.7 million. I don't know how much of that is true, but that's what it says. Anyways, back to my thing. 3 years ago, Glass Onion was doing that thing where it was like, it's only in like, what was it, 700,000? It was like a low number of theaters, all things considered. But we were like, oh, but this is Netflix's first step to potentially doing more of this, right? And Glass Onion with those limited screens still did like pretty well. Like right here, this 3-day opening being 1.5, that is 8 million below what Glass Onion did with the little theaters it had, and 25 million below what Knives Out did in 2019. But that's a separate thing, right? But the point being, like, Glass Onion, I think even in my box office talk video 3 years ago, when I talked about that, I was like, this weekend, this is a win for Netflix, because they see, like, if you put this in more theaters, this probably could have done really well. And if you kept it in theaters, this could have gone on to have a really great run. But unfortunately, it seems like they've like narrowed, how many other theaters take it in as well. I feel like Rian Johnson also put out a tweet that was saying AMC were the ones that didn't select it. And I mean, the only areas, that I could see movies are like the two Regals and the AMC. Those are like the closest available where I'm not driving like to another like state to see a movie, right? There's also like the like old vintage kind of theater that's like about 30 minutes from me that I was thinking, because I saw Frankenstein there. I saw Frankenstein, another Netflix movie, at that old vintage theater, and I was thinking maybe Knives Out 3 will be here. No, not on the schedule coming up. It's just Rental Family and White Christmas and Eternity. And I'm like, what the fuck? So 3 years ago, I went from like being one of the people that got lucky, showed up in my area, got to see Glass Onion at the AMC, to just being like, shit out of luck. I'm hearing from other people, like, gonna go see Knives Out. The Weekly Planet just did a fucking review, like, their whole show for this episode is like the review of the movie with spoiler section, right? And it's like, fuck, I can't listen to it. This is gonna drive me fucking crazy. God damn it, I fucking hate Ted Sarandos. Oh god. Once again, I'm just reminded of like how Knives Out in 2019 just like surprised people, as far as like it was this new original whodunit, and it went on to have a pretty solid run, and just being like completely devastated by the news that as much of a great deal it was for Rian Johnson and Daniel Craig, they'd be fools to turn down that money, right? But it's like, it was just a slap in the face to hear like it's going to Netflix and they're going to limit who's going to see it in theaters. Because it's like, the thing about Knives Out, when I saw it like 3 times, I saw it 3 separate occasions with different people, my sister, my parents, and then some friends. Magical every time, a great viewing experience every time. And it was just like this thing that I could see the future of cinema right in front of me. Like, yes, this is something that could bring the film community together. This could entertain audiences, get us all together, have us feeling the same kind of thing, right? And then just shafted to streaming. You can watch it at home, and only a select few can get that special theater experience. Fuck off. Anyways, number 9 is Hamnet, making 880,000. This one is in limited release, but at least it will be going wide next weekend, so I'll see it then. Adding to a domestic total of 1.3. Similarly to Rental Family and Eternity, I don't know what the budget of this thing is. 20 mil? I don't know. I don't have enough. Maybe I shouldn't guess. I don't have an eye for this, surely. And then finally, closing out the video, number 10, Sisu Road to Revenge, making 810,000, adding to a domestic total of 4.1. That is 3 million away from the original film at this point, and then worldwide it is at 7.2, which is 4 million away from the original. So once again, I didn't expect that they would actually make a Sisu 2 after the first movie didn't quite look like it did that well, but then it did after switching distributors. So I don't know, maybe we'll see Sisu 3, or maybe we won't. It's not going to be here next week, though, that's for sure. Anyways, now it's time for the fun part, the predictions for next week's Top 5. And only because of how well it did 2 years ago, I have to assume that Five Nights at Freddy's 2 will open at number 1, despite how great Zootopia 2 opened up. And I think Zootopia 2 will be maybe a close second. I wouldn't be surprised if these two flip-flopped, especially after like Mithrigan 2, didn't do as well as the first Mithrigan, and Black Phone 2 did like maybe on par with what the first movie did, but not better. So I could see a world where FNAF 2 opens under Zootopia, but just in case, this is still like a large, like popular gaming franchise that has like books, comics, all this other shit. So we'll see. Number 3, I think, will be Wicked for Good. Number 4, Now You Three Me. And then number 5, Predator Badlands. But what are your predictions for next week's Top 5? Leave them in the comments below. And as always, thank you guys for watching. Make sure to subscribe. I'm Jackson Fulcher. See you guys next time.